Alright, what is up YouTube? Today I got a video talking about why slashers should have a layup bar. On 2K17 you might know that they had that layup shot meter. They had shot meters for your layups and they took it out. I don't know why they would just take it out of the game, but I'm going to tell you why they need to have it back. The first reason is because a sharpshooter, if you didn't know, 3 is more than 2. Whenever you time your meter close to a green, you can tell that it's, it's higher chance to go in or not. With a slasher, I know they have this little timing system, but they don't give you a meter. So you still have to time your layups without a meter, which is ridiculous. Imagine if you were a shooter and you had to time your shots, and every time you shot the ball, there was a different timing on your release. Because with a sharpshooter or with any kind of shooter at all, you pick a release, you pick a jump shot that you can create, and it's that fixed time every single time. Almost every time, it's like a fixed release. You have to release at the same time every time. With a slasher, when you go into the paint, you get different layup animations that you can't really be ready for. You can't account for that, so you can't really anticipate what kind of animation you're gonna get. So some animations you have to release the shot button sooner. Some animations you have to release the shot button later, and you never know which is what is what animation. You don't know when you're supposed to release it. It's actually kind of hard to time layups on this game because you can't see when you're supposed to release it or not. Even sometimes it does give you a meter, and even then, I'm not expecting it because I never get a meter, so I'm not really expecting it. But also another reason is because 3 is more than 2, right? And in real life, it's easier to make a layup than it is to make a 3. You're just closer to the rim. It's just probability. You're literally closer to the rim. So since you're closer to the rim, you have a higher chance of making that shot. It's just probability. And when you're farther away from the rim, it's harder to make the shot. So tell me why 2K thinks that it's easier to make a 3 than it is to make a layup. That just doesn't make sense. It doesn't. I don't know. Whenever you have a sharpshooter, you have a set release and a set timing every single time you shoot the ball. Sometimes it gives you the little off balance animation or where your feet aren't gathered. That kind of messes you up a little bit. But with a slasher, every single time it's a different animation, and you have to adjust. You have to learn. You have to really study what animations are released at what time in order to be effective, and then you have to make sure you don't get blocked on top of that by double clutching, and then you have to learn how to time double clutches, which are really hard. So it's kind of unfair if you look at it the way I'm looking at it. I feel like a slasher should be just as effective, but I mean the Warriors are setting a new way of the NBA, and they make it, 3-point shooting in real life is just unbeatable at times. If you're hitting threes, it's unbeatable to a team that can't hit threes. But I feel like a slasher should be able to dominate, but you really can't. Unless you play the best defense ever, you're not gonna dominate as a slasher. You have to play very good defense to dominate as a slasher. And if not, you're just gonna hurt your team by not being able to space the floor and shoot. And you have to be, with a slasher, you have to be ball dominant. You have to have the ball and run the offense through you in order to be effective as a team. And you have to have shooters surrounding you. You can't just, with a sharpshooter, you can pretty much play with any lineup. It doesn't really matter what archetypes you have on your team. But with a slasher, if you have people that aren't shooters that are surrounding you and people that want to be ball dominant, then you're not going to be effective. You're not going to win a lot of games like that. And Mike Lang said it himself, every archetype is good, you just have to know how to use it. That's a lie, because 3-point shooters are always going to be better than people that can't shoot threes. And I feel like people that can't shoot threes should have a boost to their defense, so it makes it a little easier for them to play better defense, so they don't give up as many threes, so they could stay in the game easier. Because if you look at it in real life, Curry's a 3-point shooter, his defense isn't very good. Kyle Korver, 3-point shooter, his defense isn't very good. Devin Booker, 3-point shooter, his defense isn't very good. J.R. Smith, 3-point shooter, his defense isn't very good. I can go on. I can go on and on. But if you look at it the other way, slashers, LeBron's a slasher, his defense is good. Westbrook's a slasher, his defense is good. Wall's a slasher, his defense is good. De'Aaron Fox is a slasher, his defense is good. Eric Bledsoe's a slasher, his defense is good. I can go on and on about this. It's only I don't know, it just doesn't correspond with the actual NBA. The people that are slashers and struggle at 3-point shooting, they are better at defense naturally than the people that are not 3-point shooters. Than the people that are 3-point shooters, I mean. So the people that aren't 3-point shooters in the NBA are better at defending because they know they have to defend. And 3-point shooters are not as good at defending because they know that they're just going to put up a 3 every time and outscore you that way. There's no point of playing defense if you can just outscore the opposing team. That's the name of the game. See, I mean, I feel like I made a couple of valid points. There's obviously ways to debate those, but I just think slashers aren't good enough on this game. I don't think slashers are good enough on 2K18 in order to be successful and win. Okay, so the only thing that you could use as a slasher and still be like really effective is a big man, because big men don't necessarily need to shoot because you're there for rebounds as well. But a big man that can shoot, it helps a lot. It really helps, especially if you have a slasher on your team that has a big man that can shoot on your team also. Then that's a good combo. It's just you still have to play defense because you're not going to outscore. On 2s it'll be a good combo because you don't have to play defense. But on 3s and Pro-Am it's not a good combo because you still have to play defense to a sharpshooter and a stretch that are going to get contested 3s off. And hold on, so a slasher, they get contact dunks that are kind of cheap sometimes. Yeah, they get some contested layups every now and then. But sharpshooters, can we talk about the heavily contested shots or like the deep range deadeye, how overpowered that badge is? I have a pure sharpshooter and I make a lot of shots that I shouldn't make. And I played a lot of pure sharpshooters, and those are the best builds in the game to me sometimes. Like, whenever they can hit any shot they throw in the air, it's hard to play against that. And whenever you pair them up with a glass cleaner that can grab any of their misses that rarely happen, whenever you're a pure sharpshooter with Hall of Fame deep range deadeye, you don't miss very often. And whenever you do, if you have a glass cleaner, it's going to get that rebound. So there's only 2 things that can happen when you have the ball. You just shoot it and you miss, or you shoot and get the rebound, or you shoot it and you make it. So there's really no losing as a sharp glass combo. But with a slasher, you have to play smarter with a slasher. I feel like you have to really know what you're doing in order to be good. You have to play better defense. And since they make sharpshooters, I like how they didn't give sharpshooters defensive stopper, but they gave everybody else defensive stopper. I like that a lot. That's one step in the right direction, but it's not enough, because sharpshooters can still play the same defense that a slasher can. They also give slashers chase down artists, which I also like, but that's still not enough. They should just have higher defensive ratings, which they do, but they're not high enough. I think every slasher should have like a B- defense at least. And I know that even if you're not a 2A, you should have a B- defense at least. And then a sharpshooter should have like a C- or a C defense, because it's only fair, because, you know, in terms of balancing the game and in terms of correlating your game with the actual NBA and how the players in there are. But anyways, I think that's enough of me ranting. I probably said the same thing like 50 times. I don't know, I've just always felt this way about slashers and sharpshooters, and I've always been kind of biased to slashers. Even though I've been a sharpshooter a lot, I've noticed that it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to play as a sharpshooter. I have a pure sharpshooter on this game. I had a sharpshooter on 2K17. I had shooters on 2K16. I definitely could shoot in 2K15, because who couldn't? And I've always noticed every single year, it's the common denominator. A sharpshooter is going to be better than a slasher every time, just because of the simple fact they can space the floor, and that's huge to a team, especially when you're playing competitive. When you're playing just random bums, like, it doesn't really matter, you can have a slasher. It's more fun to play as a slasher, in my opinion, but it's just not as effective. But anyways, that's gonna do it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.